Have you ever said yes to something you didn't really want? Maybe you bought a product, donated to a cause, or agreed to a favor, and then wondered, why did I do that? Chances are you were influenced without even realizing it. In this video, we're going to break down the science of persuasion from one of the most powerful psychology books of all time, Influence by Robert Cialdini. This isn't just theory, it's how real-world influence works and how to recognize it when it's happening to you. Welcome to Speed Reads, where we turn powerful books into practical knowledge. Let's get into it. Influence. The Psychology of Persuasion is a best-selling book by Dr. Robert Cialdini, first published in 1984 but still incredibly relevant today. Cialdini is a social psychologist and professor who spent years researching how and why people say yes. He didn't just study it from afar, he actually went undercover, working as a car salesman, fundraiser, and in other roles to observe persuasion techniques in action. What he found was both eye-opening and a little bit scary. Most people are influenced by certain psychological triggers that bypass logic and go straight to our instincts. And those triggers are being used on us every day by advertisers, marketers, salespeople, politicians, and even our friends and family. Cialdini identified 6 universal principles of influence that explain how persuasion works. In this video, we'll explore those principles, how they're used, and how to protect yourself from manipulation. The big idea in influence is this. Humans rely on mental shortcuts, what psychologists call heuristics, to make quick decisions. These shortcuts help us survive and save mental energy, but they also make us vulnerable to manipulation. When someone understands these shortcuts, they can trigger automatic responses. That's why sometimes we find ourselves saying yes to something before we've even thought it through. Cialdini's book teaches us to recognize these triggers so we can respond thoughtfully, not reactively. Let's break down the 6 principles. The first principle is reciprocity. This is one of the most powerful psychological rules in human culture. If someone gives us something, we feel obligated to give something back. Think about when a store gives you a free sample. You didn't ask for it, but after receiving it, you might feel a subtle pressure to buy the product. Or when someone gives you a small gift, then asks for a favor right after. It's not random, it's strategic. Cialdini gives examples from real life, like how waiters who give a mint or a handwritten thank you note often get higher tips. The key takeaway: when people do something for you, they're often setting the stage for a future request. Marketers, non-profits, even friends sometimes use this principle, so it's important to recognize it and pause before automatically giving back. Next is commitment and consistency. Humans have a deep need to be consistent with their past actions, especially public ones. Once we commit to something, even in a small way, we're much more likely to follow through, even if our original motivation fades. Cialdini explains how this works in advertising, politics, and personal relationships. For instance, when people agree to put a small sticker in their window supporting a cause, they're more likely to later agree to put a large sign in their yard. The sticker seems small, but it's a public commitment, and we like to stay consistent with our public image. So next time someone asks for a small favor, ask yourself, is this a setup for something bigger? The third principle is social proof, the idea that we look to others to guide our own behavior, especially when we're unsure of what to do. If we see that thousands of people bought a product or liked a post, we're more likely to do the same. That's why companies highlight testimonials, reviews, and bestseller labels. Cialdini shows that social proof is even more powerful when the people we're watching are similar to us. For example, people are more likely to reuse towels in a hotel when the sign says, "Most guests in this room choose to reuse their towels," rather than just, "Please help the environment." It's a subtle shift, but it works. The lesson here: just because something is popular doesn't mean it's right for you. Don't confuse popular with smart. Principle number 4 is authority. We're trained from an early age to respect authority, whether it's teachers, doctors, or bosses. This makes sense most of the time, but it also makes us vulnerable. Cialdini explains how people tend to obey instructions from someone they perceive as an authority, even if they're wrong. Just wearing a lab coat or having a fancy title is enough to convince most people to listen. This is used in advertising all the time. Think of commercials that feature actors playing doctors or experts recommending a product. Even when the authority is fake, it still works. Before following advice, especially from a stranger online, stop and ask, is this person really an expert, or are they just dressed like one? The fifth principle is liking. We're more likely to say yes to people we like, and we tend to like people who are similar to us, who compliment us, or who make us feel good. This is why influencers are so powerful. They build a personal connection, so when they promote something, it feels like a recommendation from a friend. Cialdini also explains how salespeople are trained to find common ground with you quickly. Whether it's hometown, hobbies, or appearance, they use these points of connection to build instant trust. Be aware, just because someone is likable doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. Learn to separate personality from motive. And finally, we have scarcity. When something is limited, rare, or disappearing, we value it more. This principle plays on our fear of missing out, FOMO. That's why phrases like "only 3 left" or "offer ends at midnight" are everywhere online. Scarcity creates urgency, and urgency makes us act without thinking. Cialdini warns us to be cautious when time pressure or limited quantity is used, because it's often a manufactured urgency. The key takeaway: don't confuse scarcity with value. Something being rare doesn't always make it good. Who should read this book? So, who should read Influence? Honestly, anyone who deals with people. If you're in sales, marketing, leadership, or entrepreneurship, this book is essential. But even if you're just trying to become more aware of the forces around you, in school, in work, or in daily life, this book will open your eyes. It teaches you how to spot manipulation, how to avoid knee-jerk decisions, and how to use ethical persuasion to lead and communicate better. If you've ever felt like you were being talked into something, this book is for you. Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini is more than a book. It's a masterclass in understanding human behavior. It teaches us how to persuade and how to protect ourselves from being persuaded for the wrong reasons. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit the like button to support the channel. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Have you seen these principles in action? And don't forget to subscribe to Speed Reads, where we turn powerful books into practical lessons to level up your business, mindset, and life. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.